Well, hey there, American Farmsteaders. This is Jenny with the Grimstead Family Farm.
And Donna with Hazel Bell Farm.
And we are coming to y'all from Northeast Florida as two American farmsteaders doing our best to grow our own food and share our homesteading experiences with you in hopes that you'll grow a little food of your own.
Yep, this week we are talking with our friend Shana Alverson, who is an accomplished competitive athlete and has a bunch of knowledge in nutrition. And hey, Shana, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Great.
Good. Thanks for chatting with us today.
Anytime. I think I was born talking, so I'm
We
usually
love
not
that.
ever at a loss for
Perfect.
words.
Well, welcome. So we have a pretty big audience who either grows their own food or wants to grow their own food, or they are just, dreaming of being able to do that. And so that's kind of who we're talking to today and why they might want to consider that and what steps they can take. And, if they can't grow their own food, sourcing real food and
Right.
what real food matters and,
Right.
all of that.
Yeah, and I think people obviously really get into growing their own food because they want a better quality food. They want to eat healthier and to get all the junk out. So,
Mhm.
my first question that I have for you is, if somebody did want to really dive in and really start to clean up their diet and clean up their pantry, what would be those first things that you would recommend them throwing out?
Oh man. Well,
Here we go.
let me instead of taking it that direction, let's back up just a little bit and
Yep.
I want to talk about the way that I look at health and nutrition because um for a lot of years, having been a CrossFit athlete and gym owner, it's sort of like, okay, well, the way that everybody eats is paleo.
Mm,
This is the right diet for everyone. And so for years, I was pushing the paleo diet. We would do nutrition challenges, and my gym members would show up at the local barbecue place with a CrossFit East Decatur sweatshirt on, where they're called Move Functional Fitness now, and they would say, Shana doesn't allow bread. You can't have bread. No bread on this diet. And so if there is a fad diet out there, or really any type of eating out, I have tried it and experimented with it and just tried so many prescriptive diets, I would say, right? And by
mhm.
prescriptive, I mean that there's this one way of eating, and that way is going to work for everybody. That's
Right.
for entrepreneurs who are trying to market their brand of health and fitness, whatever that may be. But in the real world, something that I've come to believe after over 30 years of experience in nutrition is that there is no one right way to eat for every single person.
Mm,
Yeah.
But there are a lot of principles that if you can sort of embrace and embody, then the path to what your personal nutrition looks like becomes a little more clear, a little bit easier the further you go down that path. And to to bring in the way that we look at the way modern medicine looks at the body, things that go wrong with the body, the symptoms that you have, it's sort of like um, you know, they're going to I'm going to give them a list of symptoms, and they're going to label me with this thing, like this is what your dysfunction is called. If you're
mhm.
having symptoms, that means your body is malfunctioning.
Right.
I don't really look at it that way anymore.
Mhm.
The way that I look at the body is, if it's expressing a symptom, that's evidence that the body is doing what it needs to do to bring itself back into balance. And then with our conventional allopathic medical model, they say, well, we need to give you a chemical to suppress that symptom because the
Mhm.
Right.
symptom is the thing that's wrong. Where what we know now is the symptom is just evidence that there's a deeper problem.
Right.
And we continue to sort of uh, look at the body from a reductionist point of view and say, oh, it's just a set of chemicals that has gone off of whack, and we forget to look at the input, the output, the environment, including, emotional, social, spiritual nutritional, all of those things matter. We're systems. And if we're having symptoms, it doesn't mean you have a disease or you should label yourself as, oh, I have an autoimmune disease. Well, there are some things going on that are just evidence that there's a much deeper problem.
I think
To give you an
autoimmune
example of,
disease is so generic anymore. Do you know anybody who doesn't have an autoimmune disease? Well, yeah, that's your immune system working, right? Like you
yeah,
said, it's not malfunctioning, it's functioning. And
Right,
and
it
we
is
just have to
functioning.
figure out like what is it trying to do?
right.
That's exactly right. And the way that I currently look at autoimmune disease, I mean, in my opinion, if you have autoimmune, that means you're not only is your digestion breaking down your elimination. And I would say, from my perspective, if we look at all disease from the perspective of are you fully digesting and assimilating the food that you're eating, and is your body overloaded with toxins, or is it able to eliminate and process everything that you put in it?
Mm,
Because if it can't, that's when it starts making decisions about like, all right, well, I'm flooded with all these toxins.
Right.
It's not possible for me to detox from a normal like healthy equilibrium. So maybe, your liver is overloaded and it can no longer flush through kidneys. It's going to give you skin eruptions. That's just an
mm.
example of of what that might look like. Um,
Do you
and
think
you,
in those cases, where you're having it's a season of something is wrong, and we don't know what it is. Do you think in those cases that would be a good time for a strict elimination diet? Or, I mean, is there a case for that? I know, like you use paleo as the example, but like right now, carnivore is the big thing, right? Like everybody wants to go carnivore, and some people are really putting this out there, like for long term, like carnivore for life, and
yeah,
I just don't see how that's sustainable for
no,
for all the things, for healthy digestion, for um, you know,
or from a financial perspective, like who
well,
really
Right.
exactly, exactly. And spiritually, like, I mean, there's biblical cases for all the main food groups, right? So I don't think carnivore is great for long term, but there's a case to be made, I feel like, or possibly I'm asking, is there a case to be made for the short term, like to heal through a season?
Absolutely. And I would say that, most of the prescriptive diets that have really caught on and become fads and trends, there's a huge risk for. I mean, I know that it was this way for me and my gym community is that eating paleo. I swear, at one point I was like, if I hear the word paleo one more time, it's sort of like, okay, well, we eat paleo, and they take on this prescriptive diet as part of their identity.
Hmm.
And that's really, I was totally guilty of that in the past. It's like, I'm going to eat paleo and everybody else needs to eat paleo too. And
Mm.
if they don't, they're doing it wrong. Well, there are, there's where you are, there's where you want to be, and there's a
Hmm.
whole bunch of different ways to get there in the middle.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's why, having a coach, having a guide, someone who can walk you through those steps can be really helpful if you're not someone who's sort of dedicated to the path of figuring it out for yourself. Having said that, even though everybody has their right way of eating for whatever season they're in their life. So I'm no longer a prescriptive diet purist. I am everybody needs to eat what's right for them. And how do we figure that out? And I do think that there is a very clear path towards detoxing the system, sort of hitting the reset button on
Hmm.
your entire immune system. And then um, probably I would include like, let's clean out, rejuvenate the liver, and then introduce an elimination diet that has a very clear path towards getting off of that elimination diet, how you do it so that it starts to give you information. Because if you just go on, like, let's say you just start eating carnivore today
Hmm.
and take everything else out of your diet. Well, if you've already got a system that's overloaded with toxins, you've got a system that isn't giving you good feedback. So you're going to eat something, maybe you eat some chicken and you have a reaction. Or is that because of carnivore, or is that because you jumped ahead a step?
Hmm.
When
Right. The
really,
system was already overloaded.
that's right.
Right.
Yes. And so for me, the way that I like to proceed with my clients is to start out with fasting
Hmm.
and doing vegan fasting for a week. Vegan eating is it can be very cleansing and detoxifying, but it's not very strengthening or building. It's not that good at building up the body. If you've got weakness, if you have a lack of muscle, you don't want to stay on a vegan diet for too long
Hmm.
because our bodies are built out of protein, our hair, our skin, our nails, all our internal organs, that's all made out
Hmm.
of protein.
Hmm.
And the best protein for you is the type of protein that's easy to break down, easy to digest, easy for your body to utilize and turn into something else. So that's why I think, a diet like a keto diet or carnivore, or even, a brief stint of maybe vegan eating, those things can be helpful therapeutically on a
Hmm.
short-term basis. But I would never tell anyone you're only going to eat meat for the rest of your life and nothing else.
I mean,
But
there are popular
that's just
doctors
sad.
putting this out there and that's how they are living. And I mean, I don't know. I don't see how that is sustainable. And those that I'm thinking of, I mean, I won't say any names, but they're saying long term, but they've only been doing it for 6 years, 8 years, 10 years. So like, but what are like
That's
the
a long
actual,
time.
that is a
It
long
is a
time.
long
Like I
time.
can't do it for a day. So I don't mean to sound judgmental. I'm curious as to like what happens beyond that, like what happens after 20 years, you look back and go, oh gosh, like this body system broke down before it should have because they didn't have XYZ, because they were so strict in doing that
Right.
restrictive diet.
Right. Well, and that's why I'm saying every single person has a different way of eating
Hmm.
that is right for them.
Hmm.
And one of the ways to figure that out is to stop all the input, stop some input, give
Okay.
yourself some time to rest, rejuvenate. And also one of the things that we know how healing fasting is, right? It's finally coming to the
Hmm.
attention of everyone that, like, if I just keep putting junk in, how on earth is my system going to have a chance to heal itself? So here's one of the ways that I think about it, that I think is really clear and might help people to understand what's happening when you start the healing process. Because yeah, I mean, if you just start eating meat, that's almost a form of an elimination diet, right? Because
Right.
you
Sure.
stop eating all of the other things.
Right.
So I think that's a great place to start. But let's also say that, one of your symptoms for your body being over toxic is your kidneys overloaded. And now you're putting in a bunch of protein that's going to overwork the kidneys and maybe cause you more problems than help you. So
Hmm.
that's why I say it's not right for everyone.
Hmm.
Even fasting may not be right for everyone, someone who is severely underweight, malnourished, a little bit weak, but I don't think, here in the US, that tends to not be most people's issues.
Right.
Most people's issues is that, um, so your digestive system, it starts at your mouth and it ends at the exit.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
that entire digestive system, if you think of it this way, that is designed to keep things out of the body. That is technically exterior to your
Right.
entire system, right? It's a one tube starts at one end, ends at the other.
Hmm.
And then your GI should have a healthy microbiome. It should have a healthy enough barrier so that the cells in your body and the microbiome, which now we know is mostly responsible for deciding what gets to go in as part of the system and what should stay out.
Hmm.
So if your microbiome is disrupted, the intelligence there isn't working properly because there's an imbalance of something, which is what happens when people have leaky gut, any type of digestive issue. Um, It's not going to give good signals about what can come in, what can come out. That's actually what happens a lot of times with gluten signaling. When people overeat gluten, um, there is a particular molecule that signals letting something in through the gut, which is a problem if you've already got leaky gut. So if that system is supposed to be keeping all the garbage out and it's leaking, right? This is called dysbiosis. A leaky gut, that barrier isn't keeping the garbage in anymore. You've got a garbage bag and it's leaching dirty water into your whole system.
Right.
That's when we really start to see autoimmune symptoms, because all of that leakage, all of that garbage overwhelms a system that's not designed to take out the trash that rapidly. Those
Mm.
things should never be getting in. And that's another exhibit 17 of why we should start with fasting. Stop the input, because something that we know about the digestive system is that the cells regenerate so rapidly that within 48 hours, all of those cells could have regenerated themselves. They're going to have time to go in and clean out the old gunk through a process called autophagy, where you're taking old, dead, broken down bits of cells and garbage. Your cells start to dump all that stuff out. That can start after as few as 12 hours of fasting. And if you're only putting the good stuff in, and you're not eating any solid food, your body is not only taking out the garbage, it has now a lot more energy that it can put towards starting to detox the rest of the system.
Right.
And if you do that for enough days and cap that off with, this is what my healing process looks like. It's what healing process I recommend for people that want to work with me is we're going to do a 7-day fast. We're going to do that with fresh, organic, and raw juice that's not pasteurized. So the nutrients are highly available, but there's no
Mhm.
fiber there. So it's easy for your cells to derive nutrients from that.
Mm.
And then at the end of that, you'll have a nice empty gut that's well rested, has rejuvenated cells. Then you're going to detoxify the liver with a liver flush, which is done with food. It's done with citrus and olive oil. So after a week of not eating fat and protein, the bile concentrates in the gallbladder. And then at the end of that week, you take a big chug of something astringent and oily, your gallbladder is going to dump out all of that bile that it just concentrated, and it's going to flush cholesterol deposits out of the liver and the bile ducts. And you can use Epsom salts to make that process a little easier, because what it does is dilates all those ducts.
Mm.
Now you've got a squeaky clean liver. You've got a system that is starting to tighten up perforations that should not have been there from the beginning. And then I would give you recommendations as to how to break that fast with foods that are going to, number one, start to repopulate the microbiome of your gut with really good digestive enzyme producing microbiota. And I totally lost my train of thought just there, but and eat foods that are
Right.
very digestible, very healing for the gut, very easy to derive nutrition from, so that we extend that fasting healing phase. Is going to extend through the length that you use for your elimination diet, which may be 60 days, it may be 90 days. Some people may need to do it as long as 12 to 18 months. It just depends on how sick you are, what kind of results you're getting. Most of the people I work with, 95% of them get 100% cessation of symptoms within 7 days.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
That initial fast.
yep.
So you mentioned that fasting period lasting about a week. Usually that's the case?
I like a week.
And it's a juice and water fast.
Yep, it's raw juice water. And then in the evenings, this is just one that I've taken from, the Master Cleanse and naturopaths that I've worked for. And
Mhm.
I also did study at the Living Foods Institute in Atlanta back in early 2000s. So I've been really paying attention to gut health for like over 20 years. And I know like
Before it was
people are
cool.
talking about it now. I'm like, yay. I can tell people I'm fasting and they're like, okay, that sounds reasonable. Whereas, 10 years ago, I would be like, okay, we need to do a week-long fast. People would be like, what?
Right.
I can't do that. I can't stop eating for a day. But yeah, I think
I am those
the
people.
yeah, well, I get it. I was that person too. But the more times you do it, the more you're like, oh, it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
So is this
And I
like
would say,
unlimited juice?
yeah,
You're talking to eaters, okay?
Right.
I know.
Like I don't even like to do like a smoothie for breakfast because like I'm like my reason is I like to eat my food, okay? Right.
Yeah, well, and having a good appetite is a good that's good information, right? That's good biofeedback that your body is, so long as it's not like some uncontrollable bingey cravey thing, because that gets into
Right.
like we're having some psychological
Right.
trauma
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
having to work through.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So can
But
you
yeah,
do bone broth?
Mm.
I think
Well, that's not
for
vegan.
fasting, I say no bone broth, but that is the perfect thing for breaking your fast.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And in my opinion, that's one of the most healing. I mean, there's a reason they call chicken soup Jewish penicillin, right? It's
Yeah.
because
Right.
it's got everything that you need in it to nourish your body, to rebuild if you have injuries or, you need to grow healthy hair, skin, fingernails. All of those things are made up of, especially if you can put like chicken feet or if you're
Mm-hmm.
doing like a big knuckle bone. And
Collagen,
yep, so that,
gelatin. Yeah.
yep, when you put that stuff in the fridge, if it turns into like a jiggly jelly,
Yes, that's
you've done
We
it
perfect.
call that
right.
chicken jelly.
Well, and
Yes, chicken
I've been
jelly.
working on a freezer clean out, and one of the things that I found was a bag of chicken feet. I'm
Bones.
like,
Yeah. Oh,
yes.
feet.
And
Yeah.
right, all my bones and all my veggie scraps, I'll
Mhm.
just throw in there and just
Yep.
stockpile them until I'm ready. So I
Mhm.
think that's on the agenda.
Yeah.
I think that, I like for breaking the fast, one of my favorite things to do is fermented foods. So
Mhm.
yogurt, especially yogurt that you've made yourself,
Mhm.
um, or raw milk, I think is excellent. Raw milk to me
Yay.
is one of the most healing foods on the
I
planet.
agree. I agree.
Um, and sauerkraut,
Right.
any fermented food, kimchi, what do you like?
Mhm.
Right.
Kombucha. Some
Mhm.
people, if you're dealing with a little bit of a yeast overload, maybe kombucha is not the best choice because it has a lot of wild yeast in it.
Hmm.
Um, but that's the best thing to break your fast, because after you just like flushed everything out of your whole digestive system, let it rest for a little while, let's go ahead and start pumping that good
Yeah.
microbiota back in there.
Mhm.
And adding some of that to every meal is helpful as well, because your digestive system, your own in your body, the body itself makes 20 to 24 digestive enzymes, whereas the microbiome makes thousands. You
Wow.
can't even really count them because there are uh, different types of microbes that digest each type of food.
Well, hey, y'all, we're going to briefly interrupt this podcast episode to give a big thanks to our 2025 top sponsors to the American Farmstead Convention, starting with Eco One. There's something really special about working with people who care, not just about the job, but about doing things the right way. That's why I want to tell you about Eco One Inc. They're a family-run custom home builder right here in Northeast Florida, and they've been building homes and trust for over 20 years.
What sets them apart? Well, it's not just their craftsmanship, which is top notch, it's their integrity. They're faith driven, detail oriented, and truly listen to what you want. Whether you're building your forever home from the ground up or updating the one that you already love.
Eco One works with you every step of the way, from dreaming and designing to the final walkthrough. Their team takes pride in building homes that last and relationships that do too.
So if you are thinking about building or remodeling, go check them out at eco1inc.com. That's ECOONEINC.com, and you will be glad that you did. If you are in St. Augustine area and love supporting local, you have got to check out the feed mill. This place is more than just a feed store. They've created a real community hub for farm folks, foodies, and families alike.
Yeah, need hay for your horses or feed for your animals? They've got it. But here's the surprise. They also carry farm fresh food for people. Think handcrafted pizzas made with local ingredients, a farm store stocked with seasonal goods, and even chef-curated farm-to-table dinners that are absolutely worth planning for.
They've also got a seasonal farmers market and a vibe that makes you want to linger a little bit longer. Whether you're running a farm or just love good food and community, the feed mill is the spot.
So stop by and see them at 6400 County Road 214 in St. Augustine, or check out everything they're up to on Facebook. That's the feed mill, where it's hay for horses, feed for animals, and food for people.
There's like a tribe in Africa that is still very, doing things the native way. And what they've discovered is that there's a specific type of bacteria that exists within the guts of this tribe that we don't really see anywhere else in the world. And they've discovered that it comes from a zebra. And so the men will go out and hunt and carry the zebra back on their bodies. And then all of the village comes out to greet them when they get back, and they're hugging one another, and they're transferring zebra blood and microbiome to the other people. So now those people have the right microbe to be able to take that nourishment in and get the most out of it.
Interesting.
I find that incredibly fascinating, and that really brings you to why should you grow your own food?
Right.
Because do I want food that was grown 5,000 miles away and then had to ride on a boat all the way here? And so that it could do that, they sprayed it down with a desiccant that we call glyphosate, which what that really is a broad spectrum antibiotic.
Right.
Which is why it works as a desiccant, right? It works to prevent that food item from decaying, but it's also going to prevent your body from breaking it down.
Right.
Because that's what the agents of decay do. They help break things down.
Well, and
so
it kills your gut biome, right? I
that's
mean, it
exactly
kills
right.
all of that flora in your gut.
Yep. Because that's exactly what's happening in your gut. It's an accelerated decay. Decay is just the breaking down of things that aren't alive anymore. And so if you're spraying something with a broad spectrum antibiotic that is designed to prevent decay, then you're preventing it in your own body too. And it's the same thing with preservatives, things that are added to your food to increase the shelf life.
Right.
As soon as you can, that sounds like a good thing, right? But as soon as you eat that food, you've ingested that thing that is designed to kill off the things that break that food down.
Right.
So
It's just funny to hear you say it in those certain terms, because that's not what you hear,
No.
but the way you describe glyphosate is, the accuracy and the honesty that comes out there is like, well, yeah, why in the world would we use an antibiotic in that way? But it's not described that way.
yeah.
But that's what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, there is a reason that it's causing major issues in people. It's because you're not just a bag of cells and chemicals, right? You're a whole system that's designed to work. I mean, one of the most fascinating things to me when you're talking about the importance of the microbiomes, particularly, is that your mitochondria. And anybody that doesn't know, a mitochondria is a little organelle, right? Those are the tiny organs that are in your cells. Every cell in your body, there's a mitochondria. That's the thing that makes the energy that your body runs on. It makes ATP. That mitochondria is, now we know, an evolved bacteria. So that's how important the microbiome is to the body. It's so important that at some point in our physical evolution, we merged with a bacteria because it was that helpful for us as a system. So you aren't just you. You are you plus all the little living organisms that are helping you do. There's a microbiome in your eyelashes, on your skin, in your mouth, in every organ of your body. And the more we disrupt that with like hand sanitizer and I feel like we're at a time on the planet where we're like, let's disinfect everything. I'm like, please can we
No.
stop disinfecting? And,
Right,
not to mention
right,
half of those hand sanitizers, have endocrine disrupting agents in them. So
Mhm.
right,
many fragrances are disrupting your hormone signaling,
right.
your the way that your hormonal system is delicately balanced and communicates with other systems of the body.
Yeah, you bring up another point that I wanted to ask you about. Early on, you mentioned, everything that you eat, but I think it's more than that. It's everything that your body takes in. It's everything that you touch. It's everything that you smell. It's all of that that affects how your body chemistry works and affects your gut. Yeah, we're learning through like household cleaners right
Mm.
now and how estrogenic those things are. And I know like that's completely foreign to a lot of people, but like over the last 10 years, like we've really learned a lot more about that. Um, Simply by starting with fragrances. Like we learned, through these, our kids were so allergy laden. And
Mhm.
so fragrances was one of the things like early on when they were very young, our doctor was like, you got to take out everything. And so, as a young, a young wife, a
Right.
young mom, like I was really into my candles and,
Yeah.
the,
Your
the
laundry soap
right, the
and
plugins and all of that stuff. And so I pulled back all the fragrances for many, many years. And now, as my kids are young adults now, and they have girls coming over, and everybody's into all the scents of everything. Not just them, but like my boys are. And so now we're like, well, they're healthy. Like I can probably do the cheap laundry soap again. And here I am learning that, like,
right.
oh no, it's
No.
actually messing you up, girl. So,
I in my mid-20s, I started to develop sensitivities to fragrances. And at the
mhm,
time, I was like, this is annoying. I
yeah.
have all this perfume. I can't wear any of it. I
Hmm.
cannot walk anywhere near an Abercrombie and Fitch in the mall because it's
No.
just like waves of fragrances coming out of there. And I annoy the crap out of my mom because every time I come over, she has to go around and unplug all of her all of her.
Those things are so toxic, though.
They really are. But something that I've figured out about myself is I'm like a frequency detector, and our sense of smell and our sense of taste, that's one of the ways that your system is communicating to you, this is good for you, this isn't good for you. And
Hmm.
so early on,
Right.
my system was like, nope, we need to get rid of this stuff. So if you're one of those sensitive people,
Hmm. Yeah.
your olfactory is trying to, it's getting messages from your brain that like, ugh, this we don't bring
Yeah.
this stuff in. Don't
Yeah.
inhale this.
Like the laundry aisle at the grocery store.
Ugh, the
Like my
candle
body
aisle.
is like, get out. Don't go down there. Get out.
Well, and
It's almost like
sometimes,
panic, right?
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes it's something as simple as somebody even walking by you in the store
Hmm.
where you're like,
Oh,
whoa, you just hit me like a,
yes. I
like
had that yesterday, actually. Yes.
it's so shocking to me when it happens. It's like so intrusive and like, whoa, what I
Hmm.
need to get away from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It's like a people repellent, Why
yeah.
can't they make one of those that works for mosquitoes? That's what I don't
Right. Right.
understand. But yeah, it can even be, there are even some essential oils that contain
Yeah.
phthalates.
Hmm.
And, you might have to play around with the ones that work for you, the ones that don't.
Hmm.
I can't, there's almost nothing I can use with a fragrance. And
Hmm.
so it's either naturally, it just smells like what it smells like. Why are we trying to cover up a poop smell with flower smell anyway? Because it's
Right.
just
It
like
doesn't go
the
together.
flower, like that doesn't
It's
smell
poopy
good.
flowers. Oh,
Wouldn't you rather know if something was stinky so you could go be like, I think I need to do something about that stinky smell over there
yeah,
instead of just, oh no, let's just cover it up. But that's the way we've been taught that things work, right? Like, oh no,
That's
I'm
right.
having
cover it
a
up.
symptom. I have a fever. I better take a pill that reduces the fever. Well, maybe your body is trying to balance out an overload of microbes that really don't like that higher body temperature. And so if you go reduce the temperature with a fever reducer, now you've stopped that very natural process,
Yes.
and probably your healing is going to take a little bit longer
Yep.
because you didn't want to just like, you know, go to bed. Just go to
Right
sleep.
out the fever.
Yeah, let your body do what it needs to do. The best thing you can do is rest,
Hmm.
because then that way all of the energy that your body normally uses and, doing all the things we do on a daily basis, it can turn all of that energy towards detoxing and healing.
Right.
I mean, I'm at the point where I believe if you're sick, it's coming down to one of two issues or a combination of the two. And it's either you're not digesting and assimilating, or you're not eliminating, or it's a combination.
Hmm.
You're over toxic, your
Right.
body can't flush it all out, or you're not getting enough nutrition from what you're eating, which I think is what we're really seeing with like the diabetes and insulin resistant epidemic that's happening right now. It gets blamed on sugar a lot.
Hmm.
I actually think it's metabolic derangement that is caused from toxicity in not just your diet, but in the environment, heavy metals, for one thing, but seed oils,
Mm.
these are not already on your radar. I think that was the first question you asked me, like,
Right.
Get
what
it
should
out.
you clean out of your pantry?
That's
Seed
it.
oils. Like, read every label. And if it's not saturated fat, extra virgin olive oil that you know where it came from and you feel confident about it, that it's actually olive oil, well handled avocado oil, palm oil because it's saturated fat, coconut oil, or you want to be used. I mean, I think my favorite fat to cook with is butter,
Hmm.
Hmm.
followed as tallow by as a close second. And
Why butter over tallow?
because it tastes good.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you. I like them, but we just took a steer to the processor and I got the fat back, and it was a Wagyu cross. So there's a lot of fat,
Nice.
Oh.
like
Nice.
a lot, like too much.
If there's not room in your freezer, you just let me know.
So I just spent the last week, I just spent the last week working through only half of it, honestly, to render down. And I'm like, I have all this tallow. I'm so excited to have it, to cook with it. But we also have the dairy cows. And so, like, butter's my jam. So I just was
Yeah.
curious, like, is there a nutritional reason to do
Yeah,
that?
because it's saturated fat, and saturated fat is, you know, it's been highly, heavily propagandized to be this evil thing
Right.
in your diet when
Yeah.
it is probably the healthiest thing that you can eat.
Hmm.
You're, and the reason is because all of your cell membranes are made out of lipids, and saturated fat, the bonds in those molecules are very strong and very stable.
Mm.
And this is why seed oils are such a huge issue, because if those are the only fats you're consuming, then that's what's available for the body to build its membranes out of. But the problem is those are highly unstable and toxic molecules.
Hmm.
So the analogy that I like to use is, it creates energy leakage, particularly in the cells. It creates gut leakage because your cells are electrical, and there need to be good charges and good bonds. And if those bonds aren't there, you're going to leak energy. It's like having the heat on in your house in the winter, but having all the windows open. Or in
Hmm.
Florida, you could
Right.
say, like having the AC on in your house and having the windows open. But
Right.
energy, heat is energy. And if it's constantly leaking out, you can't use it. That's a huge issue. And
Hmm.
that's one of the metabolic problems that seed oils cause as well, is your body not being your mitochondria not being able to utilize glucose. So regardless of what you're consuming, your body needs to convert it to glucose so that you can make ATP. It's just how your body works.
Hmm.
So sugar isn't necessarily the problem. It's an overabundance of sugar, because if
Hmm.
if sugar is entering the cell, can't be processed, and it's just leaking back out into the bloodstream, what does that look like? It looks like diabetes.
Hmm.
And so, yes, it can be therapeutic to temporarily do about a keto or do some carnivore while you're healing that metabolism. But if you've been eating nothing but canola oil, sunflower oil, cottonseed oil, soy oil, all of the vegetable corn oil, all of those are doing way more damage than they are helping you, and the myth of cholesterol is an absolute tragedy.
But don't
in
get me
the lives of
started.
Americans. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
It's so
cholesterol
upsetting
building up in your,
when I hear a loved one tell me about their statins. I'm like,
oh,
no.
yeah,
Yeah. And yeah, to that and we don't know because we trust the authority, right?
that's
Like the
right.
doctor's the authority and the doctor said I need this to save my life, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, because they've convinced
10.
you that, an accumulation of cholesterol is a problem.
Right.
Well, why is the cholesterol there to begin with? The
Hmm.
cholesterol is there because that is the way the body uses, one of the ways the body uses cholesterol is as kind of like a spackle to
Hmm.
patch up holes that aren't
Right.
supposed to
Okay.
be there, right? So if the molecules that your cells are made up of are not making good, strong, tight membranes, the body's going to come in with cholesterol and try to start
Patch it up.
patching it up. That's
Yep.
right. So it's not cholesterol that's the problem. It's the cholesterol that's saving your life.
Right.
And what are we doing? We're poisoning ourselves with statins,
Hmm.
which are scientifically peer reviewed to not help you live any longer.
Right.
So yeah, you need
Yeah.
saturated fat because that's what your cell membranes are made up of. They're good, healthy, stable fats, and they can help you. They help protect you if you are eating polyunsaturated fatty acids, which we're calling, it just seed oils is an umbrella term, but
Hmm.
omega sixes, that imbalance is what we really want to look at. Um, but eat tallow, eat pasture raised meats,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
if chicken is great if it's pasture raised.
Hmm.
With a cow, because of the way its digestive system is designed, they're ruminants, and so they are able to convert all of that vegetation into saturated fat.
Hmm.
But a chicken can't do that. So if
Right.
you're getting the healthy vegetarian fed hens from the grocery store, well, they're pumping those animals full of PUFAs, full of polyunsaturated fatty acids, seed oils, essentially.
Hmm.
So if those chickens are eating the seed oils, you're eating them too, if you're eating that
Right.
chicken.
Right.
And so that's one of the reasons it is so important. Know your farmer, know how they're raising their animals. I was a vegetarian for 7 years, not because I necessarily thought it was healthier, although at an earlier time in my life, I was just obsessed with being skinny. That's all that mattered to me. And
Right.
so I was like, I'll be a vegetarian. It'll save the animals and make me skinny. And all it did was make me weak and sick. And
Yeah.
Right.
unfortunately, but so it's important to me that I'm consuming animals that are being humanely raised, humanely treated, humanely slaughtered.
Hmm.
Not to mention, because if there is a huge amount of fear or trauma at the time of death, and that animal is flooding its tissues with adrenaline, what are
Right.
you? Our chronically overstressed population eating is terrified animals. So
Hmm.
that's important too.
Right.
Mm.
I'll
Yeah.
take a breath so you guys can say things now.
No, we are taking it all in. We love hearing
Awesome.
it.
Well, and it's so much information to wade through. It like when we first got on with you, you said, "Well, I'm just trying to make sense of this world." And it's
Right.
so much information to wade through. So it's nice, that we have you as a resource to kind of help us, like, push through all the junk and let's really get down to the nitty gritty and really see how this is working.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And, I think that's, there's a lot of different ways to look at this. Really, it's like drinking from a fire hose, isn't it? The amount of
Yeah.
information that we're exposed to.
Right.
Um, and, in the health, fitness, wellness, nutrition, just in that area of information, it's all conflicting. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
okay, we're going to
Right.
be vegan. We're going to be vegan because, the animal food industry is destroying the planet, but you should eat carnivore because the vegetables are trying to kill you. You're just like, what do I do? I don't know. It's so
Yeah.
frustrating. And there are vegetables that are trying to kill you. They're not trying to kill you, they're trying to protect themselves. But, you know, um, going back to not being a prescriptive diet person, I'm not a diet purist. You should be able to eat anything
Mhm.
But what you need to pay attention to is where did that food come from? What's the quality? How is it grown? What is are there preservatives? How is it processed? How are you preparing it? Because those are the things that really, really matter is
Mhm.
the quality, the preparation. For example, lots of people think eating raw spinach is a good idea. It's not a good idea. You shouldn't eat raw spinach. It's full of oxalate crystals that are highly problematic for many, many people. When you cook it, it denatures those oxalate crystals and you can, get nutrition from it and not suffer, kidney stones.
Right.
Um, so, or, wheat is a great example. How long in this country did, the health food people tell us that whole wheat bread was healthier than white bread?
Mm.
That's not necessarily the case.
At
If
all.
you if you have a system that's already disrupted and reactive and you eat, the part of the grain that is really designed to poison whatever's trying to eat it, it's the casing of rice, like brown rice, is more toxic than white rice.
Hmm.
If you eat sourdough bread, not only does it taste better, not only does it eliminate the risk of phytic acid, preventing you from breaking down that wheat, all it comes along with a microbiota that is producing the enzymes that you need to break that bread down. So now you're getting higher nutrition, something that's supportive of your gut in that bread. And it for most people, it's actually healing and doesn't cause issues. So
Yeah.
there's, all of this stuff is so nuanced. It's not as, I used to be like, oh, sugar's the devil. We don't want, I'd never eat any sugar. Well, I ended up being an athlete who was, had adrenal exhaustion because I was like high performance athlete and still approaching nutrition from a perspective of I just want to be skinny and lean and ripped
Mm.
and not really
Right.
thinking about what does my body need to perform.
Right.
That it really does need sugar. And for a lot of these, particularly keto and carnivore, what ends up happening to a lot of people is then when they go, there's like this boomerang effect when they go back
Yeah.
on a normal diet because almost every single person that goes keto or carnivore goes back at some point. It's going to downregulate your metabolism because if you're not eating any carbohydrates, the body for an extended period of time, the body is going to think, okay, we're in famine mode now. So
Mm.
it's going
Right.
to regulate the metabolism. So it's not because your cells need sugar to make energy.
Right.
Mm.
And it's harder to make energy from protein. You can, but it's harder.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. You need it all. You need it
Yes.
all, different amounts, different times, different seasons.
Yep.
Mm.
And every person is different, you know. Not only, I turnip greens are like my favorite food, but a lot of people really not into that. So
Right.
I cannot tell you how many people I'm like, a great nutrition solution for you would be raw milk. And they're like, I don't drink milk. And I'm like,
But it's raw milk. It's not
Right.
milk.
right,
It's
exactly.
different.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep.
Oh, that's funny.
Drink a cup of it,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
get it down.
Mm-hmm.
Hold your nose. When I first started eating truly fermented sauerkraut that just wasn't like pickled in vinegar or something,
Right.
um,
Right.
when I first started eating it, I was like, I'm really not sure about this. And I'd eat little bitty bites. And now I'm like, you get in my belly sauerkraut. I can't get enough of it, So,
There's a culture smell, right? Like what that
mhm,
comes with sauerkraut and like cheese is like real cheese, like raw cheese is like that. There's a culture that you
Mhm.
smell that smells good.
yeah,
And it makes you want it.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many like B vitamins in sauerkraut that you need.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, yeah, just get over it for a little while. Just eat the stinky thing because you know it's good for you.
You're gonna end up loving it for sure.
Get barked at by a dog.
Okay. All right. Well, gosh, that is so much information.
It
And
is.
I have more questions. We'll have to have you back.
Yeah, I didn't even really get started. I'm doing another lecture at Scrub Fest in October, so
Oh, good.
We will be there.
right on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yay.
for
Yeah.
sure.
We'll be there at Sam. So, yeah, maybe we'll definitely catch up with you then.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my I have like back when I don't really do personal nutrition coaching anymore. If I feel like somebody is really motivated and they're not gonna get, they're not gonna turn into a giant whiny baby, I just can't
Right.
handle it anymore.
I thought that's what you were doing, but you're not.
Nope.
Okay.
No, I grow houseplants and I make like wood crafts and stuff
Well, right. Yeah. Yeah.
but I believe that you know because I do have such a clear, because I am a clear resource for what I think good nutrition and a great way to think about health and fitness. I do have so much of that knowledge. I don't want to keep that from anyone, so I consider it part of my service. That like, if you want help from me, I have all the PDFs of the processes that I take people through. Anybody that wants it can just let me know. You can have it for free, no problem. You have questions, just send me a message. I'm happy to help you through it if you need. If you want to be handheld and you want to pay me a lot of money to help you through it, I will do that. But
Right.
I'm not going out there like trying to sell it anymore. It
Right.
was exhausting me when I went back to it. I owned a gym for 15 years or so and took so many people through nutrition challenges and was an exercise coach. And I got really, really burned out. And it
Yeah.
was just time for me to move on. And
Right.
I've actually been doing a lot more singing than I used to do. I took a break from that for a while too.
That's awesome.
So
I hear you're going to sing at Scrub Fest. So that'll
oh
be
yeah, he
great.
asked me if I would, and I was like, if you want me to, I will.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yay. Yay. That's exciting. So if people do want to reach out to you, how can they find you?
I'm on Instagram. My personal profile is Shana_A. It's spelled like Dana, so SHANA_A.
Mhm.
And you can send me a message, and if it takes me a couple weeks to find it and get back to you, I'm not ignoring you. I promise. We get far fewer messages on our. We have a little booth that we grow produce, and we do sell it at the farmers market. And I sell little house plants and wood crafts for your plants to go in and stuff.
Which are beautiful, I might
Yes,
add.
they are.
Thank you.
Our
The
Pharmonious Andersons.
harmonious plantarsons.
We
Yes,
love the name.
I love it too. It's full of whimsy. But we grow all of the things, and yeah, so it's just the Pharmonious plantarsons, all one word. Pharmonious, just like harmonious, but with an F.
Okay.
And the is there, the Pharmonious plantarsons on Instagram. I think we only have like 150 followers versus a lot more than that on my personal Instagram. So
Got to
shoot me a
start somewhere.
message. I'll send you a PDF. I have the week-long fast, the instructions, how to do an internal bath. If you want to add that, it's optional, but it's very healing and cleansing. The liver flush, if you want to end your fast, the liver flush, if you've never done it, it's not for the faint of heart, but I highly recommend it because your liver is super important for detoxifying your body and for good digestion.
How long
So
does that part take? I meant to ask earlier. The
the
liver
liver
flush.
flush.
Yeah, the citrus
So
and olive oil.
yep. Basically, you just right before you go to bed, so your whole GI is empty because you will have been fasting. So if you just want to do the liver flush, I recommend fasting for a minimum of 72 hours
Okay.
because you want to make sure everything's out of there because
Right.
your bile ducts are going to dump any sludge and congestion that is flushed out of the liver. It needs a place to dump it. It's going to dump it into the colon. And if
Mhm.
there's anything in your colon blocking that, you're going to feel really horrible.
Uh-huh.
So it helps to have an empty colon to do that. So that's why I recommend minimum 3 day. My recommended is 7 day. That's what the fasting instructions is for 7 days. And then so like let's say you started on a Monday, on Saturday night, that would be your sixth day going
Mhm.
into day 7. I would do it on that Saturday night.
So it's just a one time.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, you before you go to bed, you would drink your olive oil and your citrus,
Hmm.
and then there's it's all in the instructions, but there's Epsom salts too, because
Sure. No,
that
I
will.
just didn't know if it was like a do this once a day for so many days before you bring in your
Oh
broth
no, it's
or
just a
whatever.
one-time thing. It's just a big like a big flush. Yep.
All
And then
right.
the next day, you'll the next morning when you get up, you'll drink some apple juice, drink a little bit more Epsom salts, and keep flushing. I like to follow it up with another internal bath. All that's in the instructions, which is just you drink 2 quarts of salt water. That's so salty that it matches the specific gravity of your blood, so it doesn't absorb into your stomach. It just washes you out from the mouth all the way out the exit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Internal water bath. So I like to flush all the liver sludge out with
I
that.
think I'm
Interesting.
gonna have to grab this PDF from you to get all those details. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, because I mean, it's not something that you would
Right.
get from a
No.
conventional practitioner, you know.
And
Yeah.
I learned it from a Russian naturopath that I was working for back in probably mid 2000s. People came from all over the world, and he had like these secret formulas and stuff. And I was like, this is
Cool.
olive oil and lemon juice. And so I just learned all of that stuff, and sort of how many times I've done it over the years. I've learned to tweak it and what works and what doesn't. And so
So
all of that.
how often do you do this whole fasting and then liver flush?
Minimum once a year.
Once a year.
Yeah, I kind of think of it like, you would never drive your car around for
Right.
two 2 years and never change the oil.
Hmm.
That's kind of what this is. This is like preventive maintenance,
Gotcha.
right? Because some gunk can kind of accumulate in the system,
Right.
and to keep it running smooth, you want to keep cleaning that gunk out of there.
All right. I think we need an oil change, Donna.
Oh my gosh. Always better with a friend, right?
I absolutely recommend doing it with a friend.
Yeah.
And what I've done a lot of times is like after Scrub Fest one year, I said, listen, we're about to do our yearly one. Anybody that wants to do it along with us, we'll just start a little Facebook group. You can ask questions, you can
Nice.
commiserate,
I remember that actually. And then I remember, and let's go to the taco truck. So terrible.
Yeah, it is so much better with an accountability buddy though,
Yeah.
because you know,
Yeah.
you have to just do it, do your best. Like, if you don't do it perfectly, okay, well, you did it.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
That's our motto.
and then my favorite elimination diet for coming off of a fast is the GAPS diet, you
Okay.
know,
I'm very familiar.
which is gut and psychology syndrome. Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, her work is brilliant.
Hmm.
She works a lot of times with Weston A. Price. So if people are looking for resources that you can trust to give you good information, I would look at westonaprice.org. They can also tell you where to find real milk near you. And they have lots of great articles. I have Sally Fallon's cookbook. It's amazing. It's not just full of recipes, it's full of good information about
Hmm.
here's why you prepare foods in this traditional way. And then, GAPS diet, anything Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride has put out there. She has great recommendations, and that's how I like for people to, if you're sick and you're trying to overcome something and you want to do a fast followed by a liver cleanse followed by an elimination diet, going right into the GAPS diet is an ideal way to do it. Kind of think of yourself, if you're rebuilding your digestion elimination system, think of yourself as a baby. What would you feed a baby? A
Right.
baby that, you need to feed the baby something that is very easy to digest, doesn't take a lot of sophisticated, not too much chewing. So, plenty of fermented foods, stuff like egg yolks. That's like a multivitamin that requires almost no digestion from your body. It's almost
Hmm.
immediately absorbable. And
Hmm.
raw milk is very, very much the same way. I mean, that's what baby mammals eat is milk. So.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Wow. I know I said that before. Wow. All
But
right. Well,
anytime you guys have questions that want to know, need more, you want me to come on, talk about other stuff, like
Yeah,
just,
we'll definitely have to have you back. There's more questions for sure.
Yeah, and we'll definitely link up your accounts in the show notes.
Hmm.
right
That
on.
way, anybody that's interested can find you easily.
Yep.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on and hanging out with us.
Yeah, you betcha. I love it. It's
Yeah, we
always great.
appreciate you.